Hey, what's up guys, Adam here, and as promised I'm going to be giving you guys a video based on how I have my camera rig currently set up for now and the foreseeable future. And also I've been able to overcome the overheating issue which is quite common on the A6300 and the A6500. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's take a look at it. So starting at the very bottom of the rig, you're going to find one of these. This is the newer quick release plate, and I actually have quite a few of these on my various different devices. It really helps just to have one uniform quick release plate as opposed to having various different ones laid out all over the place. I know a tripod tends to come with its own, if you're using one fluid head for example, that tends to come with its own plate. So it really helps just to have the one plate, and I tend to use these quick release plates here from Newer. Now above from the plate is where you're going to find my recorder. The recorder of choice is the Tascam DR60D, an overall round great recorder. It has two XLR inputs, both of which can actually be capable of powering, microphones that require phantom power at 48 volts, and it also takes a line-in microphone as well, should you want to use recordings from the microphone in the camera, or if you want to use a clip-on or lapel microphone, those options there as well. Now unlike some of its other counterparts on the market, such as the recorders from Zoom, even other Tascam models, as well as models from Roland, it does not come with any built-in microphone, so it requires you to use an external microphone, which is kind of a downfall because of course you don't get the internal microphone, but it also means that more of the value of the actual recorder itself, more time has been spent on the preamps and more investment has been spent in the preamps, so it means you're going to get better preamps overall if you're going to be using external microphones. So the device attached in front of the Tascam recorder is going to be my power bank. This is a power bank from EasyAC. It's a great power bank, 20,000 milliamp hours, and it has 4 USB outputs which are capable of actually having their own internal voltage selection. So depending on the device being plugged over via USB, there's also a memory module that pretty much allocates the amount of power that needs to be sent to that specific device. So pretty much everything on this rig is being powered by this power bank here. First and foremost, the Tascam DR60D is being powered via USB into the power bank. It's also powering my A6300 via a dummy battery. It's also powering my LED light as well as my field monitor as well. So it's being able to power all those devices, and I haven't actually charged this in a couple of days, so you can actually get a full day's usage from this power bank, and that is pretty much amazing. Also again, similar to almost like the quick release plates, you haven't got to worry about a battery for this, a battery for that, and a battery for that. You can simply just power everything via USB to the one power bank, and it's just so much more efficient as opposed to carrying around various different batteries along with you. So above the Tascam and the power bank is where you're going to find my camera cage. The cage itself is from Newer. Now I know you're going to see Newer quite a lot in this video, and they're not sponsoring this video, I promise you, but they tend to create a lot of great products at a very low price point, so that's why I tend to opt for Newer. And this particular cage for me is very versatile. It pretty much has everything attached to it, and it is just so robust as well, so it's not going to flex, it's not going to none of the screws are going to come loose. It's just a really overall well built camera cage. The only thing I do have about the cage, that it doesn't have any side handles, so trying to carry this rig, if you're going to be holding the cage for example, it's going to be really uncomfortable. It has one handle at the top, but of course you're not really going to be using that handle at the top to do any sort of filming. You can use it to carry and tote along with you, but you're not going to be doing any filming from that handle. So it would have been nice if Newer provided some handles that can mount on the side. Not too much of an issue for me because I have another rig that I can actually mount this rig to and actually have it as more of like a run and gun kind of style camera rig setup, so that's not really too much of an issue for me. But it would have been nice to have some side handles there so you can actually make the camera more mobile without having to use an additional rig. Now of course in that rig is where you're going to find the powerhouse for this rig itself, the A6300. Now the A6300, as I mentioned before, I'm going to go ahead and tell you have actually got around some of the overheating issues that are quite prevalent on the A6300 and the A6500, Sony's new release. Now the first thing I've actually been able to do, I've read quite a few forums about this as well as watched quite a few videos. A lot of the power and a lot of the heat that's coming from the actual camera itself is from the battery and from just behind where the LCD display is. When heat starts to get really distributed in those areas, that's when you start to get the overheating message and the whole camera tends to shut down. So the best way to actually get around that is to actually power the camera externally, so not through an internal battery like the battery that comes with the camera, but somewhere else, so you can actually power it like how I've got it powered through a dummy battery, so all of the heat is pretty much condensed in the power bank, so it's away from the camera. And so they also recommend that you move the LCD display away from the camera to allow more of the heat to pass out the camera, as opposed to having the LCD right up against the back of the camera. Now, of course, these solutions aren't completely set in stone. They're just there to pretty much reduce the chance of the camera overheating in a really short space of time. Again, it really depends on where you're going to be using this camera. If you're going to be using this camera, you know, in sub-Saharan Africa or in Death Valley in America, of course it's going to overheat, because those are going to be in really hot climates. And again, trying to shoot with this kind of camera with its overheating issues in those climates is going to be more prone to overheat. So these are just going to be pretty much if you're shooting in, you know, average lukewarm conditions where the temperature is not going to be too high. Now, the overheating issue could be a deal breaker for some, especially for those who are going to be shooting for really an elongated amount of time. But for me, who shoots in short bursts, it's not really too much of an issue. But for those who are going to be shooting, you know, doing really long shoots, then this may not be the camera for you. So moving back now to the rig. On top of the rig is where you're going to find my Viltrox field monitor. This is a really good monitor. Now, it says 4K, but it doesn't actually display in 4K, but it can take in 4K signals, which is a really good advantage. You haven't actually got to stop down in the settings of the camera down to 4K, so you don't lose any of the bit rate coming from the camera going into the monitor, which is a really good advantage. And it's just a really overall, you know, good monitor. It's bold, it's sharp, and it's really good for pulling in focus, which is what I need. So that's pretty much why I actually use this particular field monitor, and it comes in at a really great price of £150, which is a really good price for a lot of field monitors, considering that, you know, a lot of the Atmos monitors tend to be in like the £500 range. So this is a really good alternative. On the left hand side of that monitor is where you're going to find my Viltrox light. Now, this light is really interesting because a lot of the time I tend to just use soft boxes here for lighting, or I tend to rely on just ordinary daylight depending on where I'm shooting. But having this kind of LED light here, it's an adjustable light, number one, so you don't have to have that one fixed brightness, which can be a bit annoying if you want to, you know, dim the light a bit so it's not right in your face. But having that dimmable light there is really useful for me. It has a digital LCD screen at the back, so you can adjust the light. You can also adjust the temperature of the light as well, as you can go from, you know, indoor kind of incandescent light all the way up to full-blown daylight 560K lighting, which is really good. And again, this can also be powered again through my power bank using a 12 volt to 5 volt converter to the power bank. And failing that, it also takes in the general Sony battery as well. So tend to be a lot of the bigger Sony batteries that you tend to find on their high-end camcorders. You can use those batteries and they can actually power the LED light from Viltrox as well. In the middle of the rig is where I have my newer scissor arm, and that then allows me to connect my SE Electronics microphone, which I use for my A-roll, but I tend not to always have that there. So I tend to be doing A-roll that I actually have that attached to the rig, but then that allows me to actually get all my audio from the SE Electronics Magneto, and that then goes down into the Tascam DR60D. And that pretty much completes how I have my setup for this rig. Now, what I'll probably do is I'll probably leave all the links down in the description to these products below, or I'll actually give you the updated link to where you can find all the products that I use for my video production. I'll probably put that as an Amazon list, so you can go ahead and check that out. And anyway guys, that's pretty much been the video based on how I have the rig set up for the A6300. Hope you found it useful and I hope you enjoyed it. And anyway guys, it's been Adam here. Thank you for watching. Take care, and of course, I'll see you guys in the next tech video. Bye for now.